I've been getting a lot of messages saying I need to get to Goodwill again. Let's do some Goodwill hunting. Welcome back, troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. All right, back at it. Let's see what everybody's telling me to go to Goodwill for, because there must be something fascinating. Wow, okay, we do have some stuff to talk about. Let's start with the electrics here. We've got a Gibson ES-120T hollow body. This was the first one that a viewer of the show actually sent me the link to outside of, hey, just check out Goodwill, there's a whole bunch of stuff there. And what caught my attention about this one is just how ridiculously clean this one is. I mean, this is a student grade level model. It's not necessarily anything too fancy or spectacular in the archtop world, but it was a respectable model at the same time. But generally stuff like this got really beat up because, a slightly lower grade Gibson, it was still expensive back in the day, but the finish was remarkably taken care of on this example. Now, unfortunately, we do have a little bit of a blemish on the neck, but other than that, that is a good, almost collector quality one. The action doesn't even seem that bad for one of these things. But surprisingly enough, despite looking as good as it does, it has a Roadrunner gig bag. That's a shame. That must have been something that somebody got a long time ago. They always wanted to learn to play, and they just never did, but they never got rid of the guitar because their parents gave it to them or something. But now they themselves have passed on, so I'm sure there's an interesting story behind this one. But currently bid up to $1,800. Oh wow, they've really stepped up their game here. They have a lot of the information that you would need, including the year of production, 1966 on this one, ES-120T. But looking on Reverb, it looks like a really clean one, maybe around 25, but most of the general ones probably 15 to 2,000, it'd be my guess. We look at our price guide here, yeah, maybe even less. It really just depends on the condition here. Super ultra clean will definitely fetch a premium, but generally around that 1,500 range. So with this one at 18, the only thing really going against it is this ding on the neck, and that could potentially get touched up. This one has not yet been overbid yet, in my opinion. I could see it getting up to about 23-ish, but sometimes people bid crazy on these Goodwill items, especially on vintage items. But before we continue on today, let's have a word from our cool sponsor, The Original Grain, a fine watch and jewelry company. Well, I was pretty excited to find that they just recently partnered with Taylor to produce some limited edition wood watches that you can get 30% off by using code Trogly at checkout when you visit originalgrain.com/Trogly. Let's go ahead and open this care package that they've sent me to get a look at some of these. Today we're looking at my favorite one, the nice dark ebony with the Taylor branding on it. Watches are great, but this one really is a step above the rest. The whole reason why I like collecting guitars is the unique wood grain each example has, any fancy inlays, and this kind of incorporates the guitar world within the watch world, which is awesome. But don't forget, presentation is everything. That's why these are like awesome Father's Day gifts coming up, because you even get a nice wooden box that's branded too. So when you're not wearing it, you can safely store it. And if you want, they can also personalize it on the back. So if you're impressed with what you see, which honestly isn't that hard, these are actually very nice, you can use my discount code Trogly, Trogly, at originalgrain.com/my name, Trogly, to get 30% off site-wide. Anything you want. All right, thank you Original Grain for sponsoring tonight's episode. Let's get back to the guitars. And now for the one that somebody else sent me. Here we go. Goodwill. Gibson electric guitar custom. So let's just take a look at this thing. Obviously, it's an SG body. We've got replaced radio knobs on it. We've got the Gibson Maestro Vibrola here. Missing the arm, unfortunately. Looks like some sort of an ABR1 bridge with 3 humbucker pickups. Now, looking at the shape of the horn right here, you can tell right away that is not a 60s SG. If it was anything, it'd be about a 1970 through early 1972, probably. Looking like this, anyway. Because 70s SGs just notoriously have these really plain-looking horns to them. And then you look at the back. This thing was obviously heavily played. It's got this really strange looking back plate on it. That's a interesting strap button. It looks like they took a quarter and they screwed through it into the body, and then they were using that as like an enlarged washer. I'm not quite sure what exactly that is, but that's what it looks like. Then we've got 3 on a side tuners on here. Those are definitely not original to this guitar. We've got a little bit of a bump of a volute, which matches exactly what I was saying before. Then we've got this Gibson silkscreen stuff. Yeah, guys, this is not a real Gibson. Interesting that we're missing the binding off the side of the neck even here too. Looks like maybe even a little bit of a heel crack or something. But I think a lot of people are thinking this is a real 70s Gibson, maybe even older. They say no case, Gibson custom, what? Electric? I mean, maybe it's just the difference between the shops, but look at that other one. They had all that information, what the exact model was, on what I would call a harder guitar to identify. Not everybody can say, oh yeah, that's a 120T. The SG is very iconic, even outside of the guitar world. So whoever's bidding $1,600 on this is probably going to be disappointed when they find out they just bought a fake, and returning it to Goodwill, a charity, doesn't look good on you. Unfortunately, there's always a lot of fakes on Goodwill. You gotta be careful, because these are just donated items, these are not experts. However, the saving grace here is that almost looks like a real Gibson Vibrola unit. Now, I could be wrong on that, but if that is the case, that's worth some good money right there. I don't have high hopes that those are vintage patent applied for Gibson pickups. They don't look the right shape, but if they were, there could be a lot of money there as well. But this is likely just one of those 70s era knockoffs. They were just trying to do the horn shape the way that they were. I was telling you earlier, the back plate was looking weird. Besides the body shape, that should have threw you for a loop right away. It's not looking like we have any serial number on this either, so that should be a cause of concern for someone, and Gibson didn't make volutes that looked like that. That's a little bit too rounded, and a bit of a bump rather than the U-shaped ones that they do at this time. And yeah, Gibson SG Custom, this should be mother of pearl, not a silkscreen decal. So somebody's taken this lawsuit one, kind of Gibsonified it, and then just put new Gibson decals on it, essentially. If you looked at the truss rod in here, I'm sure it's not the correct style. So this is why fakes and people who modify like old 70s, 80s lawsuit era ones to look more like the part are dangerous, because eventually somebody's going to get it that doesn't know that, and then somebody is going to unknowingly purchase it. So unfortunately, this one's a bust, but the next two acoustics we're talking about, they're safe, they're safe. We've got a Martin HD28P acoustic guitar with storage case. Current bid up to almost $2,000. I can't comment too much on Martin history or what year this one might particularly be, but I do know that the HD28 series is like a very good staple within Martin's lineup. It's a great one to have. And this one appears to be in pretty alright shape, just a little bit of wear and tear here and there. Probably neglected for a little bit, judging on that. But in case you don't know what Goodwill is, if you're outside of the US, I'm not sure how far Goodwill goes. Essentially, people donate all their unwanted stuff to a local Goodwill, and then Goodwill sells it to provide jobs for people who wouldn't normally get hired in other situations, or they just hire teenagers. It's an interesting business philosophy, but oh, okay, we've got maybe a little bit of binding separation here. But that is a beautiful, almost rosewood looking back. And besides that separation by the heel, everything's, looking relatively okay. We've got one replaced bridge pin, but there we go. This is what we need to verify the model and year of production. Looks like Martin serial numbers just go in order. If we have a 501, that puts us right at 1990 when that one was made. A quick glance on Reverb shows us we're likely looking at a 90s model. And yes, indeed, we are working with rosewood back and sides. The other one was $3,000. This one is asking $2,200. They're definitely the same model. It looks like this one maybe had a little bit of bridge issues. So maybe with the issue on the other one, makes me think this might be the way to go as far as pricing this. So with that one being listed a year ago for that amount, I'd say Goodwill's doing pretty good on that one. People are usually pretty generous in these auctions. Cool, let's see if we can help them on this. Southern Jumbo Deluxe, apparently. Not the best first photo, definitely looks like it's going to need a little bit of rehabilitation. It's got a little bit of wear, we can kind of see a tiny volute right here in that photo, so that's definitely putting us towards the early 70s here. Kalamazoo built, that helps us a little bit more too, as well as this sticker style. Looks like we've got a little bit of a neck lifting issue here, and that's probably just the natural seam line of the binding, so not as big of a deal as it might look. But whoa, somebody left those strings a little bit long, but yeah, this is definitely early 70s. And somebody's likely been hammering away on that truss rod because that cover is on upside down. But hey, interesting, they added a serial number to it. Apparently on the back of the headstock, it reads A001149. So that's probably what, 74, 75-ish. Just because that's about the only time Gibson used a leading letter serial style. Generally speaking, 70s Gibson acoustics, not that well loved. Not saying that they're not good, they're just not quite as well respected as their 60s and earlier brethren. But they've got this interesting black binding with the cream layers in between there. Here's a similar one being offered on Reverb. It's in a different finish. It's got the same inlay style, all that. But interestingly enough, this has a 3-screw truss rod cover. Price guide shows these selling anywhere from a low of $800 needing some work to $2,250 being in very good condition within the past 2 years, but one a long time ago sold for $35. Perhaps that big sale was for one of the first year examples that had a special bridge. So in my opinion, this has been way overbid already. So what else do we got here? We've got a Kalamazoo KG-14. I can't really comment too much on that, but the Kalamazoo brand was an offset of Gibson, if I do remember correctly, like before Epiphone. So this is like a cheaper version of an LG style guitar. Looks like somebody has classical nylon strings on it. That's pretty cool. But that one's gotten bid up to $13. But wow, they really do have a whole bunch of good stuff here. So like here's another one that might be difficult to properly identify. You know, just Gibson electric guitar is the best they could do. But for me, I know right away that's a Gibson Sonex. But what we really want to know is what model it is. Because there's 3 different Sonex, and the one that has the real Dirty Fingers pickups in it is worth a heck of a lot more because of the pickups. And unfortunately, this is not one of those. It's just the velvet brick style. Somebody's put one of them Wunderbars on here, which I'm sure is worth money in its own right, but these are not expensive Gibson guitars. I honestly don't like them that much, but there's some guys that love these things, so I'm not gonna diss them too much. But they have a resin body instead of actually being real wood, so that's kind of cool that you can see that there. I actually had a Sonex prototype once that you can check out in this video and learn about all the different models. But one thing to note, this is actually the deluxe style of this case, because most of these just have the one neck rest right here and then everything else is bare. This actually has the compartment on the inside, the double neck rest. If you're going to get one of these cases, because they're kind of cool and they say the Gibson Guitar Company on the back, and they're actually heavy wood cases with the brown Tolex, this is the version you want. Otherwise your headstock touches down. They're not that good of a case. So that case probably worth like $250 on its own, and the guitar itself could probably bring about $600 to $700. I wouldn't say overbid on this one yet, but it's definitely getting there. As far as other interesting stuff here, it looks like an old Kalamazoo electric bass. Those are nice from the 60s. A couple of Fender Stratocasters. What's going on here? Oh, that's really cool. Electras are great guitars. Well, some of them anyways. And this is like their take on the Paul, but like with a little bit of an extra cut right there. If you need to learn more about Electras, you can check out this review and demo. But I've always just liked these things. They have a cool headstock. They weren't trying to be Gibson or be fakes or anything. They had their own brand. It didn't last all that long. And yes, it's a set neck model. Those are the best ones to get. This is something you definitely want to watch. I bet that's a lot of fun. Kind of reminds me of the Dean EVO guitar that we documented once. On a quick Google search, it looks like this might be called like the X270 model. And this one that Guitar Center has for $500. Whoa, whoa, look at that wood grain. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to keep my eye out for one of those. That's cool enough to document. But speaking of Electras, here's another cool one, the Phoenix. It's like an elongated Stratocaster with an HSH setup. You don't see that too often. Kind of a interesting headstock design on it. This has some doom metal vibes to it. That's my favorite thing about Goodwill hunting. You see things that you don't normally see. What's going on here? Seville. Okay, this is exactly what I was talking about. Lawsuit era guitars. At first I thought that was like a wrap tail piece and then it also had that, but no, it's just nowhere near strung correctly. Oh my goodness. Oh, the bridge is so collapsed. The pickups are all moldy. Poor thing, it tried, but it failed. And then apparently had some water damage. It wouldn't surprise me if that's hiding a bolt-on neck right there. Very bad Strat placement. Okay, it's not. It's actually a set neck, so it might be a relatively okay guitar. Well, back when it was in good condition. I'm surprised people are paying that much. And it wouldn't be a complete Goodwill hunting episode without one of these bad girls. The Daisy Rock guitars. Yeah, they can't all be as cool as the Powerpuff Girls and Mojo JoJo, but these things always show up on Goodwill. It's because parents buy them for their little girls, and then they don't end up playing them, so they ended up getting donated. All right, Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.